Hello everyone, welcome back to Kunju's Media. Today I'll be talking about AIDS.
Welcome to Kunju's Media.
To be more specific, I'll be talking about how AIDS is caused by a virus called as HIV virus, which is called as human immunodeficiency virus. As you all know, AIDS is a disorder that completely impairs our immune system and make a person lose his immunal ability or lose his immunal response. That means immune system is completely destroyed in a person who's diagnosed with AIDS. So as you know, AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So this usually occurs in 4 stages. The first stage is wherein the virus invades your body parts. The second stage is where you feel fine. That means you're asymptomatic. And the third stage is wherein you experience certain infections or certain symptoms. And the fourth stage is final, called as AIDS, wherein your immune system is completely destroyed. So let's see how the HIV virus invades our body and causes destruction of our nervous system as well as immune system. Let's move on.
So, as I said HIV virus can affect both our nervous system as well as our immune system. Before understanding how it affects our nervous system and immune system, let's understand the basic structure of HIV virus. So this is how a typical HIV virus looks like, and this is basically a RNA virus. It belongs to retroviruses family. So the only difference, how it differs from other RNA viruses is it undergoes an intermediate of DNA replication during its life cycle. Right, so being an RNA virus, it has DNA in its life cycle. So that's what makes it different from other RNA viruses. So this is the genetic material or RNA. Here is the transcriptase enzyme, and this genetic material is surrounded by a layer called as capsid, or which is enclosed within a capsid, and this is the protein layer. This is a lipid bilayer, and these are the glycoproteins. So this is how a typical HIV virus looks like. Now, as I said HIV virus can affect almost all the tissues, but its main target is our central nervous system and our immune system. So primarily it affects our cell-mediated immunity. So these are the CD4 cells which are present in our WBCs, and the viruses primarily invade these CD4 cells present in our WBCs. Thereby, when CD4 cells are affected, almost our cell-mediated immunity is lost, and it also causes the helper T cells. We have 2 kind of cells that helps us in cell-mediated immunity, and one among that is helper T cells. So the destruction of CD4 cells can result in the damage of helper T cells as well, and this stage we call as primary infection. And the infection proceeds and it reaches the lymph nodes. So in the lymph nodes, what happens is it almost affects all the lymphoid tissues and primarily the lymph nodes. In lymph nodes, all the lymphatic fluid is drained. The fluid is drained here, almost of all the lymphatic organs, and this makes the virus easy for it to accumulate in the lymphatic system or lymphatic organs. So here the trapping of viruses takes place. And since the viruses are trapped here, it leads to a chronic and persistent infection. So when there is infection here, of course, our immune system detects it, and there is HIV specific immune response. And this immune response is mediated by our cytokines and also by our HIV envelope mediated cell signaling. So of course, after all this, as our immune system is completely, it's damaged to an extent, it accelerates the virus replication. Right? This means the virus particles are generated more and more. And as you all know, and this occurred due to our rapid destruction of CD4 cells and helper T cells. So since the virus replication takes place in a higher rate, it destructs our immune system. So this is how our immunity is lost. Now moving on to how the virus affects our nervous system. So this is the infected monocyte cell, or specifically HIV infected monocyte. So this is before that I'll say this is our blood and this is our central nervous system, and this is separated by a blood-brain barrier. So on infection, these monocytes will cross the blood-brain barrier and enters our central nervous system. So these are the macrophages. These are the astrocytes. These are basically the neuroglial cells. This is the microglia. So as the HIV infected monocytes enters our central nervous system, it causes damage of all these cells, the macrophages, the astrocytes and microglia. So this will lead to the release of certain factors called the chemokines. Chemokines in the sense CCL2 and CXCL12, and cytokines. Cytokines include tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 1 and interleukin 6 beta. So it releases chemokines, cytokines and neurotoxic host factors. So as the name says, you can understand it proves damage to our nervous system. So neurotoxic host factors may include nitric oxide or some amino acids, some free radicals, etc. And finally, it can release neurotoxic viral factors, which include glycoproteins, 120, 41, etc. So the release of all these factors will cause our neurons to damage by demyelination. As you know, there is some covering around our neuron called as the myelin sheath. So the myelin sheath is removed. That's called as demyelination. And as demyelination occurs, it loses all the capability to conduct the impulse, and hence the neuron is damaged. When each neuron gets damaged, our nervous system is damaged. So in this way, it causes destruction of our nervous system.
So this is how AIDS is caused, and as you all know, it's transmitted usually through sexual contact and by used needles, etc. So a person must not be isolated from the society if he or she is diagnosed with such kind of thing, but he should be given so emotional support from family and friends. So yeah, that's it. Hope you all liked the video. If you did, do give a like, do share and to subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. And thank you so much for watching. See you all in my next video. Everyone stay safe and take care. Bye.
Please do like, share and subscribe the channel.